In this second video in our series, we're focusing on Douglas's central theme in his work. The question of who we really are has two answers. First, from the inside based on present evidence, and second, from the outside based on another's point of view. The answer to who we really are, based on first-person experience, is a unique perspective compared to our usual understanding from another's point of view. This shift in perspective, this discovery of the original perspective in the child's worldview, is the central theme of Douglas's work. I invite you to view this video and to test and experience for yourself and discover who you really, really are.
Well, what are we up to? And I was thinking that, anyway, what I'm up to is addressing a question which really needs addressing, and a very neglected one, I think. And that is, where am I coming from? I don't mean my psychology or understanding, beliefs, religion, and my feelings. I just mean something very simple now. I mean, am I coming from something? If so, what kind of thing? Am I coming from a lump of stuff? If so, what's it like being that lump of stuff? Am I embedded in that stuff or peeking out of little holes in it, two holes in it? Or am I free of that stuff? Am I coming from a kind of wide, clear, open space? And it's no use saying, well, people can see what's here. Of course they can see what's here. And when I hold out my mirror, why, I can get a good idea of what they're seeing. But that's the external view. I'm not talking about the external view. I'm talking about the view from inside, where one is. Where's one coming from? What does one look like to oneself? What is one looking out of? And these are questions rarely answered and unasked and rarely answered. I think just to ask them and look into it is to really not be very far from the answer. But surely, Sean, Maureen, surely this is really important, because we're talking about what is the center of one's universe, and one had better be right about the center of one's world, from which everything flows and to which everything returns. How crazy it is to read books about it and go and ask people about it, which we do, don't we? And have all sorts of things laid on us here by other people, instead of being our own authority and looking to see what it's like now, with an open mind, starting all over again from scratch. And I think one of the reasons for looking at this honestly and so on is that why the wise ones of the world have suggested fairly consistently that lurking there, nearer than near, is a treasure of some kind, a mystery, a treasure, a world, a new world, a world discovery, a place we need to know about, because there lies blessing. And so, I mean, that's a really good motive for investigating what we're looking out of, isn't it? And another one, of course, is that it seems to me to be a miserable thing. As I said before, I think a miserable thing to live and die without having a look at who's doing that.
Douglas, when you speak of seeing or looking at this, are you speaking literally? I mean, often when we say looking to see who I am, that can mean a lot of different things. It means psychologically or philosophically.
Yeah.
Or are you speaking literally about seeing?
I really am. I really am, Sean. Because you see, when we think about the endless thing about it, we go on thinking this and thinking that, and most of our thoughts are anyway dictated by things we've read and been told. So thoughts are terribly, terribly, A, inconclusive, and B, contaminated, aren't they? So it's not a matter of thinking. And feeling is even worse, because feeling is always like the weather, up and down. And in any case, it's not a feeling. No, I'm talking about seeing. And Sean, I'm talking about the same common or garden, ordinary old seeing that I engage in that way. I'm talking about the same common or garden seeing, just turned round 180 degrees and directed this way. And it's not, when we turn it round and become a holy seeing, it's still a secular seeing, a perfectly ordinary
Still
seeing.
ordinary seeing.
Perfectly ordinary seeing. And I look at your face now, and I look at my friend Maureen's face, and in the same spirit of observation, I turn round my attention and look at this face. And I see Maureen equipped with the usual gear, the usual terror in there of eyes and nose. And because when you really look at it, it's still very extraordinary, isn't it? Why that design? Anyway, there it is. And there's that face there with those features, the colour, the opacity, the two eyes, and so forth. Now, I think the general assumption is that I'm operating in my own experience now, I'm operating from a similar terrain. And that I've got that stuff here. But wait a minute, how could I take on your face now if I had a similar one competing for my attention, or somehow bunging this place up? No, I wouldn't be open to it. No, it's the same kind of seeing, Sean. Really the same kind of seeing. As I look that way and this way, same kind. But what I find is different. And that way, what I find now in Sean's face there, I see your eyes, and here I see, with the same kind of seeing, the absence of eyes. I see your nose with that seeing, and same kind of seeing, I see the absence of a nose here. Except, of course, when I do that, I've got a kind of great shadowy profile, a transparent thing, by courtesy called the nose, but come on, it's transparent and it's enormous. And then I get another one there, see. I mean, I might try that. It's worth trying, isn't it? We get that. But the thing is, where's that coming from? What's it hanging out of, you see? And if I were a crocodile, that'd be even more interesting experiment, you see. I start at my little nose there, little nostrils there, and I walk up my see, what's here? So when the Buddha preaches to crocodiles, he says, what's your nose jutting out of, you see? The same kind of
So
thing.
we're really here. We're really starting with just the basic sensory facts, right?
Yes, that's right.
Nothing added, no interpretation, no thinking about it, no wondering about the feelings about
This
it.
is foundation stuff.
And no memory, it sounds like, either.
Well, yes, but you see, people say, yes, but I remember I have a face here. I don't remember you had a face here. You only hallucinated it, didn't you? I never remember having one here. People say, oh, I remember my face is here. I remember my face here. You don't remember your face here. I remember my face in the down mirror. That's where I remember it.
So really, we're talking something very simple here.
Very simple. Not religious, not psychological, not a matter of feeling, not a matter of belief, but foundation stuff on which our whole life is based. Am I, in my own experience here, looking out of a thing? Am I coming from a thing? Am I in a box here? Am I blown away with the wind, so to say? Am I open for you now, Sean, or am I peeking at you out of something? It's a case of, is one's nature openness or a closed upness with a few apertures for peeping out of? And I think that's what we need to investigate, isn't it?
Indeed.
Well, why do you suggest we need to do that?
Well, it seems to me, Douglas, that my attention is out there a lot. I mean, I have endless volumes and computers full of information about my world.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that it's very important to perhaps go right back to square one, if you like, or square zero, and examine my assumption about who's observing all this, who's seeing all this, who's learning, who's living this life. Surely that's a fundamental question to ask, because surely if I'm in error about that, I'm going to be in error about an awful lot else.
That's right. And one's assumption, Sean, is that this thing you're looking at is just one other thing.
Right.
And same ball game as those.
That's right. Things. Same like studying another thing out there.
Yes. But it's different. It's a different ball game. It's a different order. It's a different world.
Right.
Because things out there aren't aware, are they? Right. But this thing is aware. Now that makes it very special.
So you're just asking us to turn our attention from that direction back.
That's right.
Back to this direction.
With the same kind of
simple
honesty, observation.
Honesty. Simple objective view.
And it seems to me we go crazy when we don't turn around. We go crazy about this place. And the standards of rationality, truthfulness, when it comes to this place, they all go. And we believe all sorts of things on no evidence at all. From people who we take things from people who are not in position to tell us. And the great con is, I am here what I look like to you over there. I look like a thing, indeed, for you I am a thing called Douglas, and very photographable and in every way an object. And the assumption is, and the crazy, ridiculous idea is, I'm the same thing, sort of thing here.
So Douglas, sorry, it's like because we've been so used to taking the information only from the outside and not paying attention from the other way around, that has been our only source of information, so we believe it.
Yes.
When you say you look like this or you are this, then it's like we've put our authority completely on the outside then.
Extraordinary, really.
So we just overlook this. And we look out there and we see all these things.
Yeah.
And we assume that I must be, just without looking and checking it, I simply must be one of those things.
Yes.
Just like I see out there, right?
That's right.
In particular, I must have one of those round things with eyes in it.
But those things are things because you see them at a distance.
Yes.
But you see yourself from 0 inches away, and it's a different scenery there.
Different story.
Isn't it? And it's essential to be right about that. It's a matter, Sean, it's a matter of life and death to be right about that. Because you see, all the things I see in the world out there with this kind of vision, they're all perishing, aren't they? I mean, the viewer, I have to say it, as an object is perishing. You are perishing, Maureen's perishing, Douglas is perishing, looked at from outside, because I mean, we're all getting older all the time, aren't we? And we had a beginning, and we had a middle, and we presently have an end. But the question is, what about the one here who is so different? And if this is a thing, this is also perishing. If it's no thing, but this aware space here, then is there anything to perish? So this is really vital, isn't it?
This is a life and death question.
It's a life and death question. It's also fun. And it leads to most extraordinary discoveries. And I am convinced, deeply convinced, that all the blessing that we could ever desire or need is concealed in who we really, really, really are. And it is free. It is free of the troubles that things are subject to.
Yes, it's interesting to me what you're saying, I think, Douglas, is that perhaps the most important question of all, what or who am I, what exists, is also perhaps needs to be approached in the most simple way.
Yes, that's right.
With the least sophistication or
Yes,
preconception.
that's right. And all we've got to do, really, is to know where to look. And we do not look in this place. We camp outside, looking in at ourselves from outside in imagination, and we're alienated from our home, and we have a rough time. So we have to come home and tell it like it is. And the extraordinary thing is that I think in your experience and certainly mine, that I don't turn out here to be just unlike what I look like and what I thought I was, but in all respects the opposite. In all respects the opposite. And that is an extraordinary discovery, isn't it? I mean, two eyes. I was told I'm looking out of two eyes. I find an enormous window here without a frame. I was told I was opaque and totally transparent. It goes on and on forever. I was told I was very small and wide. In all directions, one is boundless. I was told I move around in the world. I get in my car and I see it's the world that's moving. Everything is the opposite of what I've been told. And above all, I was told that I was born and shall presently die and disappear and perish because I'm made of perishable material. I'm biodegradable. The shelf life of, a very limited shelf life. Eat by date. Well, is anything here to perish? And it's a life and death matter to get that right. You see, the extraordinary thing is that we say, I am here, what I look like over there. Nothing could be madder or crazier than that. The extraordinary thing is that only humans make this crazy mistake, don't they? Little babies don't, plants don't, animals don't. They're living from who they are, not with great brilliance of appreciation of the fact and so on, but they are living from the truth of who they are without lying about it. Well, the human condition is to lie and hallucinate, and then we wonder why we are in trouble. I mean, isn't it likely that our troubles come from, most of our troubles, I don't say all our troubles, but isn't it likely that the greater part of our troubles come from this basic lie, foundation lie? I am what I look like. I am here, what I look like over there. And it's the exact opposite of what is the case.
It seems to me that indeed I am the only one who knows what it looks like right here at zero.
Exactly.
Douglas can't tell me, no one can tell me that. I must, in fact, examine that for myself.
And we've been intimidated, haven't we? I mean, to join the human race and join the human club is a process of very, very severe intimidation. And we are taught what we are here. We're taught it by people who've never been here. Nobody's ever been here but me, and I'm the sole and final authority on this. And the viewer, there's sole and final authority on who she is now and where he or she is coming from, what he or she is looking out of. You are the final authority and sole authority on it. And don't let Douglas tell you. You go by what you find.
So I have to examine that just with my seeing, my simple seeing.
Yes.
And it's also, both are true. So is it also a matter of looking in both directions?
Oh, yes.
So it's not one or the other.
Oh, yes, you don't abandon this view, but you take in this view just as before. But you are consciously coming from this, well, is it not perhaps space for the world? Now, well, I think this is a very interesting reason why we should look here, which hadn't occurred to me to mention usually, but in the last week or so I found myself talking along these lines. I think one of the prime reasons for looking here and not neglecting it is because for sure, if I'm not looking here, I'm hallucinating here something to keep the world out with, a box, a lump, a solid lump for keeping the world out with. And I can't get out of that because I belong to a human race where the rule is, the small print is, I am a thing here and I've got a face and a lump of opaque stuff here. And if I don't come, I have to keep coming here to disabuse myself of this hallucination.
Right. In a sense, we're asked in life by society and the world to fake it until we make it. I mean, we've never seen one here.
That's
But
right.
we're asked to pretend to such a level that we come to believe that that's true.
Well, that's right. And what I'm addressing, Sean, at the moment is the reason why we can need to come here. Because if we don't come here, we've got a head on our shoulders for keeping the world out with. We've got this lump of stuff, this cork, this bung, this hallucinated thing for keeping the world out with. Because that is the human condition. And we have to come here, keep coming here, to send that thing off to where it belongs, namely the mirror. So that's what we're up to, isn't it? How important it is a matter of life and death. Also a matter of sheer curiosity. Come on, aren't we curious, having happened? Gratitude for having happened is so important, isn't it? Let us be grateful for having occurred. We needn't have occurred, you know. You needn't have happened into the world, but you have. And I think it's part of it's bad manners. It's not courteous. It's not being grateful to say, I'm not interested. I've happened, but I'm not interested. Come on, that's bad manners, isn't it? Or it's just stupid and it's undignified. I mean, you're missing out on a great deal of fun. And come on, what is standing in the way? It's extraordinary that we don't look at this, isn't it? Extraordinary. The human condition is a very peculiar one. Unbelievable, really. We're a crazy species.
Great imaginations, Douglas.
Yes. And fancy to lie and lie and lie and hallucinate, but what's essential in our lives?
Yeah, the fundamental.
Yeah.
To imagine that.
And
lead to trouble.
And people may say, well, of course, I'm not an authority on everybody else, the brain specialist and the biologist and all those other chemists and the physicists and so on. They know what's here, and I don't. But you see, they've never been here. They're investigating things that are over there. They're investigating objects, and they're distant from those objects, aren't they? But I'm not distant from this. Therefore, I have inside information about a piece of alleged matter in the universe denied to physicists.
All outside observers.
Because that's right. Physicists looks at things from outside. Now, we have an enormous privilege and duty, I think, to look at something from inside. and you've been given a bit of stuff to look inside of and see what it's made of. And you know, what are you made of? I mean, it's a very good question. You know, a little poem or something. What's a little girl's made of? Sugar and spice and all things nice. What are boys made of? Well, slugs and snails and puppy dog's tails. Well, are you made of slugs and snails and puppy dog's tails? What are you made of? Oh, and it reminds me of another thing. In the Inferno of Dante, Beatrice was rather on the edge of heroin. She may have been wearing a nylon sort of thing. No, hardly in the Middle Ages. Anyway, they got a bit worried about Beatrice, and because the flames, you see, were near. And she said not to worry. Well, more or less. Those flames cannot touch me. I'm made of God. It's a marvelous thing. I'm made of God, like being made of asbestos, really. Well, what are we made of? You know, I mean, people say we're made of quark, so we're made of cells, which are made of molecules, which are made of atoms, which are made of particles, which are made of quarks, and even God doesn't know what a quark is. What quark is it? Quark? Is it quark or quark? I don't know. Well, what are we made of? That's the point, isn't it? Good point.
Am I made of something perishable?
That's right.
Anything at all.
And we have inside information about something in the universe, and we can tell the truth about it because only you are in a position to tell me what you're like in the whole world. And we just have to take up this wonderful privilege and insight.
You know, it's very encouraging. Like, there's a sense of great peace for me to realize that I actually do know something, that there is something that I have accessibility to about myself.
You have a secret.
Yeah.
When we're little children, we love to have a little secret, don't we? You do have a secret. It's an open secret, but it's a secret. It's wonderful to have that secret and move about with a treasure. A treasure.
But I don't know that when I'm out there.
Until you know, you have to come home and look. And so this is why our experiments are, all of them, really, a journey from there where we had gone out and looking at ourselves in imagination. Our experiments are all a return to a place which we never actually left, in order to be who we are instead of be what we are told we are. And that's what the experiments are for. And I don't know, would this be a time, do you think, to go into our first experiment today?
Yes.
Yeah.
Important experiment, Douglas.
Yes. Experiments are the thing that matter. Because all this talk, is very preliminary talk, is very nice. It sets the scene.
In a sense, the only way I can, in a sense, exercise this truly God-given right.
That's right.
But it's the experiment. To examine it. Is to examine it.
Yes.
For myself.
Experiments which matter. So, okay, we'll